All right, good afternoon, everyone. We'll call to order the City of Murfreesboro Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting for August 25th, 2021. First item on our agenda is a determination of a quorum. All members of the board are here present, so I believe we passed that test this time. Next item is a consideration of our minutes from the July 28th, 2021. Those minutes were provided to the board members. Are there any changes necessary to those? Hearing none, those minutes will stand as written. Next, we'll move to new business. We have one item today, a special use permit amendment request. This is application Z21023 by Jennifer Dokos for Dish Wireless, requesting an amendment to a special use permit that was approved on October 24th, 2018, allowing for the establishment of a wireless telecommunication facility in a commercial highway zone. This for property located at 1631 and 1633 Northwest Broad Street. A condition was placed on the special use permit that applicants shall use a conceal wrap material around the antennas to help the aesthetics of the facility. The applicant seeks an amendment of the original special use permit in order to eliminate the condition of approval. Ms. Kerr, would you review that one for us?
Thank you, Chair Young, members of the board. This subject property is identified as 1631, 1633 Northwest Broad Street. It is located north of West North Boulevard. The property is a rectangular shaped lot, and the current tenant in the building is Avis Budget Car and Truck Rental. The telecommunication facility is in the rear of the lot towards the west property line. There are pictures of the current cell tower. This is looking from across the street, what is currently existing. Pursuant to Chart 1 of the zoning ordinance, telegraph, telephone facilities in the commercial highway zoning district require approval from the special use permit. In October of 2018, the BZA approved a special use permit for this property to allow the installation of the monopole and co-locations of cellular equipment. The 2018 special use permit included a condition of approval for cellular providers installing new antennas use conceal wrap material that would be installed on the antenna, and this reflective material would emulate the sky. This was intended to minimize a visual impact of the antennas and was recommendation from the applicant's consultant. The original applicant was SCI Towers, Mr. Larry Perry. If the new equipment is not able to be installed with this conditional approval, it requires an amendment to the special use permit approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals in 2018. The current applicant, Ms. Jennifer Dokos, represents Dish Wireless, has researched and confirmed that the wrap material is no longer available and no replacement material is being manufactured at this time due to quick deterioration of the material due to weather conditions. Ms. Dokos has submitted a letter, and is in your information you have received, stating that the concealment wrap previously approved and utilized by the wireless industry are now obsolete with no inventory no longer available for use. In the letter, she provided a link to Inside Towers, which is also provided inside of your paperwork, from the June 12th, 2020 issue, which is written for wireless infrastructure professionals, which states that the 3M concealment film is being discontinued. Further, the letter states that Mr. Scott Duncan with Obscure Tech LLC, a communications equipment supplier, is currently working with other providers to an alternative to the 3M concealment wrap. However, at this time, there is not an acceptable product which provides a minimal loss in dB in laboratory tests. That is also included in the information provided in your agenda. The applicant is requesting antennas be installed as they are manufactured in their off-white finish with mounting equipment being galvanized steel to match the tower shaft. This is the same as other cellular antenna installed in poles in the city of Murfreesboro and throughout the country. She did provide us, which is in your agenda packet, other exhibits which do show current installation of the cell tower at 1631 Broad Street with an antenna antennas installed on there. She also installed other locations, what those antennas would look like mounted on the poles, and then a close-up footprint, how the color will match what is currently installed on the Broad Street Tower. Recommendations of, because of the limited scope of the request, staff has not required the applicant to address all the specific standards of the telecommunication tower in her application, and this report does not address those standards one by one, as is usually done. However, staff believes that it would be appropriate for the required landscaping buffer to be re-inspected to be determined its health and whether or not any of the existing vegetation needs to be replaced. Recommendations of approval are to, prior to the install of the ground equipment antennas, the applicant shall apply for and obtain approval of a site plan from the planning department. The site plan approval will include staff comments to ensure the antenna is consistent with the conditions of approval placed on the special use permit by the BZA from 2018. Prior to installation of the ground equipment, the antenna, the applicant shall comply with codes and permitting requirements with the Building and Codes Department. All other conditions of the original special use permit approval shall stand. The required landscaping buffer around the tower compound shall be inspected by the planning department staff. If the original material have died or are dying, they shall be replaced. And Ms. Jennifer Dokos is here to answer any questions the board may have, as well as myself.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this point?
So Amelia, could you pull up that picture that was supposedly the existing site as it is today? Yeah. So.
There's two different ones.
Okay.
This one's from across the street.
Right, but the one, yeah, that one. So, and I may be thinking of a different location, but so when we talked about these stealth towers, I was thinking that truly it was just the linear pole and there wasn't anything extending from the pole itself, but this looks like it's already got something extending from the pole. Does that make any sense at all?
You have the pole, and then the antennas extend out and are installed along that, and that's what the co-locations are. When SCI originally requested, they requested for the monopole as well as the antennas.
Okay. Okay, because even though there was co-location, I thought there was a way for them just to be in the pole itself. So that's not the case, and was not the case when we approved this either.
No, sir.
Okay.
So the current applicant hasn't started construction on any of this. This is
What was previously approved for the pole and the original Verizon tower that went on there.
okay. The landscape, would it be the Dish Wireless responsibility?
Excuse me?
One of the requirements was the landscape buffer. If there's any replacements needed to get that handled, would that be Dish's responsibility or the?
I would think that would be the
owner of the property, maybe?
I think from our standpoint, we don't really care who gets it done as long as someone gets it done. I think that would be between Dish and SCI as far as who would take care of any landscaping that might be dead or dying.
Okay.
I don't recall it being our suggestion to even have this wrap, that was something that SCI gave as an additional thing, and that wasn't something that we were concerned about at the time. It was just something that they added on.
Correct. And it was actually their third-party consultant who wrote up his recommendations, and that was one of his recommendations. At that time, the product was new when it first came out, and everybody thought that would be a good idea if you could make it kind of blend in with the sky, make it more of a bluish color, make it not stand out so much. But it was a topic of discussion at that original meeting. That's why I included the minutes from the previous meeting to let you all know you did talk about it, but that really wasn't a big source of contention for you all with the concealment wrap.
And these don't have concealment wrap
No,
on them.
ma'am, they do not.
Were they ever put on there?
No, ma'am. That got installed, I would say, not long ago, because it took them a while to get the pole. They still had some stuff. They had to get some approvals from the FFA, and they had several approvals to still get before they could install that. So it was installed, and it was an oversight by, and when we go out to do final inspections, that was not installed. Now, this is the only one in town that has ever had this stipulation put on it to this point, as far as I know.
I don't remember hearing that at any other meeting. And I remember it not being our idea, because we didn't have any clue it existed.
Correct.
But I don't mean to, but I remember a monolithic pole on Bridge Avenue, and that's where I was coming from. I thought everything was concealed inside the pole. Am I wrong?
I remember some being presented that way,
Yeah.
whether it's,
Mr. Halliburton, we do have poles like that in town. I don't believe that this particular pole was one of those,
Okay.
but the one that you mentioned on Bridge Avenue, there's one on Thompson Lane behind the BP. There's one on Sulphur Springs Road at Myers behind Bethel Community Church.
Okay.
But this particular tower, to my knowledge, I'm going to look at Ms. Kerr and Ms. Rush, I don't believe it was approved as being a quote-unquote stealth tower
Okay.
with the antenna mounted inside the tower.
That's where my confusion lies, so thank you.
And so if we amend this, will it also bring into compliance the tower as it is? Because at this point, I guess it's not in compliance.
Correct, it would.
Okay.
And then from this point forward, they would not have that stipulation on their wireless.
Because there's no way for them
antennas.
to fulfill it anyway.
Right now, there is nothing available to be used for that.
any more questions for staff? Thank you. Appreciate it. Ms. Dokos, anything you'd like to add to the application? Okay. Then at this time, we'll conduct a public hearing. If there's anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application, if you'd come forward and give us your name and address and any comments you may have. Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed and open the floor for further discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll move to approve, subject to the conditions as set forth by staff.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none, so that application's been approved. Next item, staff reports and other business.
I do not have anything at this time.
All right. Well, we will adjourn then. Appreciate everybody's time.
All right.
Thank you.